Hello everybody, today I come to you with sad footage. The cancer that is the artillery is still at large, as you are about to find out. Now, I'd like to talk about this interesting battle that cringes me down to my core. So just to send a message how bad the artillery is from game design side. Now, it's not particularly overpowered, or I should say not as overpowered as it used to be. It is just a badly designed unit that is not fun to play, and it is not fun to play it against. So just to illustrate that point, we have decided to bring you a team with 1 infantry and 2 heavy artillery, I believe. 2 heavy artillery and 1 light artillery. So this is just to illustrate how frustrating fighting against a unit that you literally cannot do anything against, even if it does very little damage. The fact that it does that constantly and that you cannot avoid it in any way just makes it very difficult. There used to be a way to avoid it with a method I called Eyes on the Horizon. I was gonna make a video about that, but after they have changed the way the projectiles look, that method have became a lot harder. Like, much harder. And by that I mean you just lock your eyes on the horizon and then look at the projectiles and the trace they leave. Just like with arrows. But after the rework, so to speak, they added a smoke screen around the projectile, making it a lot harder to make out in that area, and as such makes it a lot harder to dodge. So probably the developers have not realized this, but I'm reporting that right now. So here you can see our team kind of like equally matched. And we are able to, the greatest advantage of artillery is that we are able to do strategic surgical damage to any unit we want. Even if it is protected behind a wall, there are plenty of other units that we have locked down. I mean, this just turns the game into, you know, Total War World War I. So here you see me taking out the units on the other flank from the middle, just providing fire support to our melee units, and our heavy artillery can do the same thing. Instead, they're taking out the enemy archers, and that's all they need to do. After all, a single shot can take out 1/3, even half of an entire unit. Imagine that. And another issue is that it is risk-free. I mean, yeah, you missed, so what? Enemies coming, yeah, kind of a problem. But you see, with light artillery, it is a lot more balanced because you have to watch out for enemy skirmishers, cavalry, and especially slingers, because your artillery piece cannot block. Because of that, you will take damage, and when you take damage, if you have less than 3 units, you can no longer do damage. Now, I like the mechanic where these units are able to do damage even with low health. They can do full damage, which I'm not sure I agree with. But it's an interesting mechanic. But the artillery piece blocking all those projectiles, yeah, makes it a little bit of a problem unit. Now, you could argue, hey, doesn't taking artillery prevent you from, you know, taking another unit, as such boosting your damage? That is true, but maps are full of choke points, and they're also full of regular open fields where artillery can shoot, and imperfect covers. Just a lot of them. Like, that's why I picked this map, because in this map there is a huge choke point where everybody's slowed and cover for the enemy. So in a way, this is a kind of both good and bad for artillery. So yeah, artillery cannot shoot everywhere, but enemy has to come through the same hole. And especially on random battles, this becomes quite frustrating. I mean, artillery is banned in competitive for a very good reason. Recently, in the last MGA tournament, we haven't seen it, and I was shocked that we didn't see as much artillery as we had hoped. As we, well, predicted. We haven't hoped, because that unit is just very bad to play against. Just camp, and it's the unit that really reveals your hand. It's a unit where you have to, in order to take even any acceptable levels of performance out of it, you need to center your entire strategy around it. So they've got heavy artillery. Okay, it's gonna be a camp. It's gonna be boring. It's horrible to watch. Like, even if I tried to commentate this battle, I would probably fall asleep. Which I kind of am, just looking at it. Like, enemies taking damage, and they're, another important issue here is that artillery does a lot of damage. It does a lot of damage to full units, and when the unit health is low, they simply cannot compete against the same unit that has its full health. And combined with archer fire, they will lose a lot of models too. Now, so light artillery, in my opinion, is a lot less of an issue. It's got, well, a lot less range. It needs to be more mobile. It has an obvious direct counter, while heavy artillery, not so much. So that's why I even advocate for its complete removal, because it doesn't add anything to the game. It was advertised as to prevent camping. Yeah, it kind of became a meme. As such, the anti-camping unit is really the light artillery. And here you see us winning with a heavy advantage. Right here. Right here. So, in my opinion, the heavy artillery just has no place as it stands now in the meta. And because of its design, it will either be overpowered, or it is going to be underpowered and never used. I would say remove it from the game, compensate everybody who has spent XP on it, and just get on with balancing proper units. Because from what I can tell, the only reason it exists because it was in World of Tanks. And here it's immersion breaking. And, oh, speaking of immersion breaking, what's up with its disassembly? It can be disassembled in like 10 seconds, can be put in a pocket. Mind you, these artillery must be at least 200, 300 kilos. If not a lot more. I mean, just look at the size of that thing. So it should slow them down. It's the fact that they can't, and they can just put it anywhere at seconds notice. Yeah, that is really annoying in immersion breaking. And on competitive, that makes all the difference. So, as you've seen the cancerous footage, thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next time.